My name is Brandon. I'd like to start off by asking some questions. You don't really have to answer them, just they're more questions for you to just think about as I get into my speech. Like, how would you feel if you couldn't walk to class? If the things that you wanted to do in life were limited, couldn't take a walk on the beach with your wife or husband, couldn't go to the movies with your girlfriend or boyfriend, couldn't ever step onto a football, baseball, or softball field with your kid. These are just some of the things that will happen if you develop the disease Parkinson's. There's also a disease called Alzheimer's. Maybe you won't be able to remember your family's face, not be able to remember who you are yourself. They're developing, I don't know if you want to call it a cure, but ways to counteract these diseases. It's called stem cell research. The problem with it is there's not enough funds. And so my main question is, would you support an increase in funds for something that could change lives or even save lives? I decided on 3 main points or claims that will show funding should be increased. The first is that the medical advancements that will be made will be sped up. Secondly, it will increase the funds that could cure or change, it'll counteract the diseases like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. And third, it will, once it's changed those, it will change the lives of the people so that they will be able to do things, they will be able to walk, remember who they are, things like that. It will increase the economic output, because once people don't have those diseases, they'll be able to work again, they'll be able to do normal things again. And so it will increase the economic output that our country has. According to the Genetic Science Learning Center, a stem cell, this is the definition, a stem cell is a cell in the body whose job in the body is not yet determined. And every cell in the body stems from this type of cell. With more funding, we will have more breakthroughs. With more breakthroughs, we will have more cures. As well as making the breakthroughs sooner, we will have more money to have more people conducting this type of research. Richard Cohen, a writer for the Washington Post, said scientists believe that stem cells can be controlled and used to replace diseased organs and tissues in the treatment of diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Parkinson's disease is a disease where people will lose their motor skills and typically can no longer walk as symptoms progress. Alzheimer's is a disease that causes people to lose their memory, which makes it severely worse as time progresses, causing them to not know who they are themselves. The two of these diseases are just the primary targets that I chose. Stem cells can also cure things such as diabetes and lupus, but due to a limited time, I will not get into those. Once more, I just want to say that an increase for stem cell research will increase things such as, once more, as funds are increased for stem cell research for things Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, more people will get treated. It will give our economy a major boost. Once people are treated, they will no longer suffer. They will be able to walk, remember who they are, to wake up in the morning and know who their son or daughter is, to be able to go out with their husband or wife, and not be limited because of a wheelchair. These people will have their lives completely turned around and changed. This will allow our nation to save money because it would take people off of the disability list. I know I wouldn't want to have to rely on the disability, whatever it may be, depending on how our economy is doing. Things fluctuate, and that's not something I would want to rely on. So the amount of spending would in a way balance itself out, because it may not be going towards disability, but it would be going into this amount, it will increase the funds for stem cell research. James Greenwood, a Tribune News service writer, says President Barack Obama lifted the ban on federal funding for embryonic stem cell research. But this is just the first step toward moving from the promise of research to therapies and cures for patients. He also states, according to Stanford medical professor Phyllis Gardner, less than 2% of biological funding comes from government sources. This is a problem. For something that can cure so much, which no longer has the strong Republican restraints that it had on its research, the amount of funding we have is insufficient. Increasing the federal funds for stem cell research will benefit our nation in multiple ways, and it's something that we need to strongly start taking into consideration, and we need to act, and we need to act upon it. Thank you.
All right, Brandon, the proposition is phrased as a question, and that's not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be phrasing it as the answer. You need a more declarative statement that says specifically, more money will make a difference in advancement on stem cell research. And you don't really do that. It's implied through most of your argument, but you don't get that declarative statement. You set up a structure at the beginning, but then you don't really follow that structure. You instead go through this line of reasoning about, well, if we did this and if we did this, then this would happen and then there'd be more money for this. And I'm waiting for the information that says we're $10 billion away from a cure to Alzheimer's. Researchers are on the brink of finding solutions for Parkinson's, but run into shortages of money on a regular basis. The information that says when the federal government opens the floodgates of money for this kind of research, there'll be very rapid changes in the way the research is being done. I don't get any information like that, and that's the problem, because if you're going to make a claim like this, you have to have some basis for suggesting that the problem even exists. You say there's not enough money, but the only information that you have on the amount of money that's being spent is a quote that says that less than 2% of the money that is currently available is from the federal government. But that doesn't mean that there's not enough money. And I think we need to have that information. Plus, you've also suggested that more money is coming, so what's the controversy on this? Where is there a dispute on this particular issue? I think you've got a problem on that. Almost all of the evidence occurs in the last minute and a half of the speech. It takes you almost a minute to get to what your topic is and a minute and a half to get to your question, which is substituting for the proposition. So you need to get to your point much more quickly. Find some more information to support your point, because it really seems like you've got assertion about all of these people. Oh, they'll be more productive when they don't have Alzheimer's, and then we can tax them some more and have some more money to do more research. And I guess that's the circle of life, is the way some people look at it. There's not much demonstration that that's really going to happen, and that's where your argument needs to be. All right, thank you. I realized, well,